for that one, or and it's kind of Mishima, bro. That's how he's hitting right now, okay? That's who he's looking like to me right now. That guy is definitely making some magic happen. Some electricity is in the building. But we're going to see how this happens against Power Ranger, who obviously, you know, had to go for the reverse. He had to reverse his way into this grand finals, but it was a very solid reverse 3-0. So even if Kyna is able to pull up and get himself a set, he has to go in for the long haul. He's got to do it as quick as possible, and he's got to make sure that the cannon does not get figured out.
Now, we haven't had this specific matchup today. We have not seen Kyna face Power Ranger in the Summer Championships until this moment. They were on separate tracks of the bracket when Power Ranger moved on to the winners finals and Kyna went down onto the elimination side of the bracket. So we do have to remember that Kyna, even if the Zul doesn't work, does have the possible Bodvar in the back pocket. But, man, I don't know if I want to be relying on that. If the cannon doesn't work, I don't know if the hammer can do it. Kyna starting this one out definitely behind. D-Light side air might be the stock here. Weapon toss has another one. Going to hold on to these. Going to let Kyna down air into the wall. Maybe punish the landing back onto the main stage.
One thing we did see before was the counter pick over to Val previously against the West set on this same stage. And Kyna was able to walk out on top. But that was after being forced off of that away from the Lance. Power Ranger looking significantly better off the start here, playing that strong center stage control game that Val can do with the simple options that these combo weapons have, but we've seen very minimal time for any burst play out of the cannon so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what kind of got, you know, to this grand finals with is the burst play. And so he does have a good amount of damage here on to this Akuma, a.k.a. Val, but again, she does have some pretty good defense, so he may not be able to get just a straight hit from anywhere on to find a stock. And meanwhile, he's not getting any hits at all. Finally finds a little two-piece, but not finding himself a Sair or, you know, a downlight at the very least to try to even threaten a KO.
In addition to the strong defense, Val also has a lot of movement speed. Definitely one of the higher movement speed legends in the game, which you can see Power Ranger using really well to get in and out. There's the double D-Light leading to the KO off the top. I will be as bold as to say a single D-Light followed by the recovery would not have been enough to take off the top. Power Ranger now has 2 stocks ahead. There's a D-Light into the gravity cancel neutral heavy. Gonna be a little bit more difficult to pull off than the D-Light into the recovery, but it's going to KO much earlier, which is why you see some of these South American players going for that as the option rather than, oh no, my opponent just survived because I went for the easier one.
Yeah, and look at the evasiveness of Power Ranger. He is constantly going for like side lights and dipping away. He's not staying within range for Kyna to find that D-Light starter or find those Dare starters, which he finally got one hit. But when he gets put back up into the air, Power Ranger's answering back with a very aggressive start right there. Already up 2 stocks still, and it's continuing to ride right now.
Okay, I like that. You know, he's expecting probably a landing option there, but no, it does take a small punish, but he still has so much damage already on to this last stock of Kyna. Now, if he's able to hold this stock, I mean, the game's definitely going to be over, but you do have to worry about him getting put on his last stock because Kyna can make some pretty cool stuff happen.
Oh, what the? He chased him out of the stage?
You're insane!
After those 2 hits, he straight up stopped because he was worried about getting hit the opposite direction, getting stage spiked, and then losing the stock and losing the game because he's in red. His extension and then reservation was just so well placed.
My thought that Kyna could take game 1 has now disappeared because he just lost, but it was renewed momentarily with that offstage play. But I do feel significantly better for Kyna going into the next game. But we talked about how many games Kyna had in a row of 600 plus damage in that previous set, 624 in the favor of Power Ranger by comparison to this time to the 377. Amazing jump in lead for Power Ranger, and that was mostly just from solid center stage defense.
It's wild how these games go too, but like I feel like nothing has been close. Nothing is like, oh, we both did like a crazy amount of damage. It's like I'm going crazy right now. Maybe next game you'll go crazy. It's just a coin flip. So we'll see what happens here in the second game. Power Ranger though, you know, it did get a little scary because he did get down to the last stock and kind of did obviously have the he swapped out. Oh no.
Yep.
That
we
took no
see
time.
the instant swap. We see Power Ranger going for the taunt at the beginning, running off the edge, having a little bit of a connection issue. Kyna's just going to let him run off. But we do have this character swap, the instant swap. He didn't even think about that for too long, being like, okay, who am I going to play? He was like, Koji, we're going. Get in the game. Stage banning done. Let's go.
Koji and Grands. Not a very uncommon counter pick that we've seen in this spot so many times. But, I mean, to put it bluntly, that cannon never showed up in that first game.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, like, I think at that point in time, you're kind of like, well, the cannon was kind of crazy. But this time it's not as crazy as it was in the last game. So we're going to go ahead and see what he can do here with it. That was a nice slow zoom.
I was going to say, I love that zoom in, like you were like giving like, all right, everyone, it is now time to go ahead and close out the day.
Oh, yeah.
We are gathering here together to talk about the abolishment that was that Kyna a second ago. Thank you for joining me.
RIP that Kyna potentially. We might see it a little later. Depends on how these go. But hopefully he can do something crazy. I mean, he's swapping into another few set of weapons. We got the bow out this time, and then we also have a sword. So we got the sword in already. But maybe he can do something wild with the bow here too.
So one of the things that Koji has, aside from two very strong, very meta weapons coming from the sword and the bow, is also high dexterity, which normally isn't the greatest thing in the world. A lot of people don't put that very highly on what they want in a legend. But because it's so high coming from the Koji pick, that means difficulty in punishing. So many of these moves from two weapons that can already be difficult to punish, calls it out. GC Insig saw Power Ranger coming in, denied.
Good call out too, because earlier Power Ranger actually waited for Kyna to go over him on the first stock and then hit him with the recovery out of his down air. So this time around, he's like, all right, I'm going to appear like I'm a little lower. Good. Okay, hold on, man. I don't know what it is about this guy and swapping, but whenever he swaps, he actually gets the power up. A lot of the times, I get a little questionable about the swaps here, but I'm just gonna have to believe everything Kyna's doing when he picks another character.
Bro, the amount of unarmed KOs we've been seeing out of South America too has been kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They just understands like, all right, look, in between the swap, I know that you might want to push, and I'm gonna punish you for that. It's been very consistent, but we haven't seen too much out of the bow yet. A lot of side airs. Mostly, we haven't really seen any D-light chases. Mostly because Power Rangers kind of just been boxing around it. Not too much damage taken there after getting that first stock loss.
Power Ranger swapping over to the gauntlets. Picked up that sword for a second, but threw it away. Kyna able to grab that weapon spawn very quickly. Don't have to see any unarmed gameplay here. We haven't seen too much of it just in raw neutral. It's mostly been like, okay, it's time to end that stock after I just lost my stock. Here comes the D-Light GC neutral heavy. Easily with the sword in hand very quickly. But he's taking some punishment. Nothing huge just yet, but still taking punishment and losing these trades.
All right, man. So you can see, again, as Ajax pointed out, we're not really seeing too much usage of the bow just yet. Now, a nice way to fight your way back to the stage has been mostly the sword, which is no issue. Speaking of, little three-piece right here, he's sweating but doesn't actually do anything about that. I mean, he was sweating and he was drifting back to the stage. That should have been an easy punish right there from Kyna, but backed off a little too hard now.
There have been quite a few times Power Rangers reverse people on that, so maybe it's just like panicking. It's like, if I go off, that should have been a free punish, but in that last second situation while you're down and you have a small lead, you get scared to right chase. I don't like using this word often,
hurts.
but that is unfortunate. That is now going to give what could have been a lead to Kyna a graceful charity over to Power Ranger.
That was just kind of like, I guess, accidentally. I don't know what happened there, but it was essentially kind of just holding left after the move that he threw out, then drifting under the stage, and the recovery came out too late. Maybe that was kind of just misunderstanding what in-air movement options, but we see again. Okay, all right, what are you doing? You're making me a little nervous with that. Worried that there's a DC coming up for Kyna, but it seems like he's doing okay as the sword comes in here for both of these players' final stocks.
Yeah, a couple somersaults to hype yourself up right there is what he was doing. But now he's got to get himself back onto the stage, make it so he can at least get a game here. This has been a good-looking Koji for sure. Kind of swapped up the pacing of the match, coming from Zol over to the Koji. And it seems to have been working out, but maybe not fully. Oh, man, he went up instead of down. That would have been a crazy attempt at least a down air, but it still doesn't matter. It seems like he's carrying him just left and right. That's probably going to be it. Yeah, immediate stomp. You're sweat beaten after the dodge. It's over.
That's what you're supposed to do to me before, my friend.
Yeah. He said this is how you punish someone who's drifting back to the stage with sweat beads on.
Yeah, let me go ahead and show you how it is done. And I think that kind of looked a lot better there in terms of not having to worry so much about the big plays. He had the speed, he had the ability to dip around a lot quicker that game, and smaller punish game comes in on the side of playing Koji, but still next to no bow. The bow did find a couple knockouts, but it was mostly on like jump callouts instead of neutral game. If he can get that to work, if we could find better grounded gameplay out of the bow, I think Kyna can make things work. But Power Ranger realized, like, well, my ground game's better than yours, so I'm just going to wait for you to go in the air, and I'm going to punish you for it.
Now we're going over to Apocalypse that does have a soft platform floating in the air, so there could be some more aerial combat coming in from this one. Even though we saw the quick swap from Kyna over onto the Koji as we got into game 2, no swap after the previous game. It was pretty close, as we saw in the second stock. Kyna was was in a very solid lead, but all of a sudden, Power Ranger just turned that around and then held the lead for the final stock.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man. I don't think we really need to see a swap this time around because of the fact that it was a very close game. He could have made something happen. Might need to, get a little more warmed up here on that bow, but, it's still relatively good damage altogether. I just feel like he's getting better strings and better pressure as far as with his sword.
Yeah, he's going to have to find him ASAP because he's currently facing what could be elimination from this bracket, down 2 games to Power Ranger, hoping to get another W attached to him, but great call there on the side of Kyna to get the first stock.
And that is the scary thing, because he's down 0-2. That's probably what put him in the situation of like, okay, the Koji was almost a victory. It was really close. I'm facing an 0-3 against Power Ranger. Do I want to change things up in possibly my final game, or do I just want to push this Koji a little bit further? I understand the Koji potential that I have. I'm really going to use that this game.
Hey, man, and with that, the Koji potential is definitely showing up. Hasn't lost his stock yet, and he's now got him in the sky. Sweat beads out, but doesn't get the right punish on it. And he's going to stick with the sword. I think it's definitely the right play here. Sword has been doing quite well for him. And I feel like it's one of those weapons when you're playing well, you're playing well, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's like everybody knows how the sword plays, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm popping off, I'm popping off.
And look at the movement that he had on the platform, too. Like, the weapon toss is down. He got him up to orange, essentially, off of just trying to box with him on the platform. So even though he lost that stock was on borrowed time regardless. So that at least moved him that much closer to getting towards the knockout percent.
2 hits coming out. Power Ranger going to control the weapons here. You saw the unarmed side heavy from Kyna almost extending off stage. A little bit of chaos there on the edge guard from both of these players. Nothing ended up leading to a stock fall from either player. Oh, that was a very high pickup from Kyna.
Yeah, I thought for a minute, like, because the recovery came out and he was still directly on top of Power, I thought maybe we'd get a ground pound there, but no. Delayed it out, waited for a better option, and then he found it. The downlight recovery that high up, Kyna going a little insane.
Kyna, don't lose this in yellow. Don't lose this in yellow, Kyna. Oh, the overextension on a massive lead that he had.
Defense wins championships. This is a statement we've said for years, and now, because of that overextension, unless Kyna is able to pull off one of those incredible plays like we've seen quite a few times throughout that elimination finals, we are looking at what could be Power Ranger starting to get incredible juggles going on right now, TK. He is getting so much damage slowly while not being hit for quite some time.
I'm so okay with being like an offensive legend like that, just going crazy, but sometimes you got to remember, all right, let me pull it back just a little bit, because he went with that momentum a little too hard and then end up right in the worst spot to get punished for the ground pound. And now we got an even game here between Kyna and Power, but the thing is Power, okay, he gets back down. Power Rangers, though, he's trying to finish this thing off right now, does not want to see a game 4. He might have to deal with that, though. You're gone.
Kyna takes the game, keeps himself alive in this tournament, adds 1 on the board. We're going to move into our game 4. It was looking a little bit hopeless there for a few moments, but Kyna was able to wrestle it back. What a KO there that he was able to grab. The dodge was burned. This was free while Power Ranger was still in recovery from the sword recovery. It was over.
Apparently, Kyna doesn't really figure out how to play the game until his back's against the wall, because he has been able to make multiple big plays and big comebacks after being down 2 games. And let's see if it can continue here as we see a very early play to go for the ground pound, doubling up on the attempt right there. But D-Light Sider is going to push Power Ranger back off stage, and Kyna looking a bit better at being comfortable to try and trade off with him now by comparison to the first couple games.
Note the stage, too, man. We're at the small Brawlhalla, and with Val right here, by the way, who has a lot of SIGs that send just absolutely horizontally. I'm talking about 90-degree angles. We're going straight out, right? And so now I feel like there's almost a big advantage here on the side of Power Ranger as far as being able to just kind of throw one out and hope for the best. Here we go, though. Trying to take him off the top right there with the recovery.
Gauntlet neutral light now swapping over, went for the neutral signature, might have led to the KO, would have given Power Ranger a nice lead. He's just playing right on top of that weapon spawn, gonna toss his away, pick it back up, Kyna left unarmed, running to all the way to the left side of the stage, weapon spawn comes in, scroink all the way to Power Ranger.
Yeah, not a single, all right, there you go. Now you finally got your opportunity to get it. But
this bow.
All right, here we go. There it is. Recovery is not going to be enough yet, even in that position, though, to get the knockout. He's going to go ahead and get the anti there again, though. He has sweat beads. That is a perfectly executed punish right there as soon as he forced all those resources gone to be able to get that first stock.
Kept it simple, man. Nice little bow shot right there with the neutral light, gravity canceled. And now he's got a lead, but he is hurting. And again, we are in a very small blast zone area. And these, these gauntlet hits, they all sit in very favorable positions when it comes to getting hits on the stage. Just like that, they'll scoop him up with the down light into the side air, send him packing back onto the gauntlets. Let's see what he can do.
Weapon spawn coming in. Again, it's the bow. We haven't seen too much bow gameplay coming out from Kyna so far. He did finish off the previous stock with that, but you saw right as another weapon spawn came in, immediate switch off. So he wants to be on that sword. He doesn't want to be on the bow. Now he's forced to be on it. Weapon spawn should be coming in shortly, though. We'll see if he's able to get to it. Nice juggle game.
Actually, the bow's kind of waking up a bit now. He got a couple of side lights in there. He's gotten at least 4 to 5 nairs in a row. I'm finally whiffing one there. Like, this is exactly what he needed. The D-light's connecting now to TK. Like, Kyna is starting to make both weapons in the category work. That's going to be so much worse for Power Ranger as the set continues.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit. I feel like, yeah, may have taken him a little bit to get online. The bow definitely plays very much different than the cannon. So just had to kind of remember what he was doing and what he was playing on, and that's well, he's doing it quite well. The bow's online. The sword has been online for quite a bit, and Power Ranger might be heading to this 5th game. Even though he was probably trying to close that. I know he wanted to close that out that last game, but here we are still scrapping on this first set. I mean, he's going to have to do something if he wants to make sure that he doesn't bleed out.
Power Ranger with weapon control has the sword there. Kyna is able to get in, do some unarmed damage to push Power Ranger away, give him room to grab that sword. It's now sword v sword. Power Ranger could be taking this one, at least getting this stock and then evening this game up. Nice side air. He's putting the pressure out onto Kyna before retreating fully. Neutral signature not going to make contact, but doesn't get punished.
Yeah, getting out of there instantly. And something I noticed from the gauntlets on Power Rangers that he was way less inclined to go for punishes after a side air or a side light compared to the previous games. He actually looked like he was less confident in it, but that time finally finds recovery, and now Kyna once again facing what could be elimination or Power Ranger getting that Summer 2022 championships.
Yeah, man, this is very close right here as far as getting down to the last stock. Power Ranger, he's on the combo weapon. He's going for a hard read right there. Wait a minute. Okay, nice way to fight back right there from Kyna, yeah, because that's a scary situation at any time against any gauntlet. You're off the stage, you're under them. They have more options to push you further back down, but he is doing the damage right now.
These gauntlets are adding it up onto Kyna. We have almost a dead even game between these two players. You see the backup from Kyna. Out comes the double side airs from Power Ranger. He went for the big play that burned his dodge, but he doesn't get punished for it. Sword coming out. Neutral light. Neutral sig the other direction.
Oh, my God.
Not going to lead to the KO. That could have given Power Ranger the game. That one does. Power Ranger is your South American Summer Champion.
What an incredible adjustment from Power Ranger at the end there. After we were just talking about how he was less inclined to go for more punishes after the gauntlet plays on a sidelight to maybe push advantage. That all happened because he got like a 4-piece read off of gauntlets, got it out to the end, and was still committed to going for the signatures without any fear. You may have not punished the first one. Well, I still feel confident enough that I'm going to be able to catch you with the next one, and Power Ranger gets that championship.
Man, what...